Welcome back into Wake Up America. I'm Rob Finnerty. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about why the Biden administration suddenly gave Senator Joe Manchin's wife a job in the administration. In today's Psaki Dodge.
I'll have to follow up with our personnel team on the exact process there, but we can do that for you after the briefing.
Not surprisingly, not much of an answer on that one. I want to bring in our powerhouse panel this morning. We start with our White House correspondent, Emerald Robinson, political analyst and Project 21 member Donna Jackson with us. Former Trump campaign aide Rick Gates is here, and former special assistant to President Trump and a Newsmax contributor Andrew Giuliani is here. Emerald, quickly, any word on that? I saw that come down yesterday on the wires, and I said, just so typical. But Jen Psaki, again, seemed completely unprepared for a question about it.
Yeah, she should have known she was definitely going to get that. But look, she wasn't going to discuss that in the briefing no matter what.
Right.
She specifically said in this answer, said, I'll get back to you on that. You know, like we often hear, she tries not to say circle back anymore. She said, we can talk about that after the briefing, meaning not in front of these cameras.
Kind of wink, wink, nod, nod. Rick, President Donald Trump supported keeping the filibuster. I remember a time period where we'd elect politicians that said something, they stuck to their guns, they had integrity. Let me play you a soundbite from Joe Biden dating back to 2005 when he was ramping up for his second run for the presidency in 2008. Take a listen.
At its core, the filibuster is not about stopping a nominee or a bill. It's about compromise and moderation. That's why the founders put unlimited debate in. That's what it's about. Engendering compromise and moderation.
By the way, no teleprompter, certainly no stutter, a much different Joe Biden 16 years ago, I should mention. But Rick, you're an expert when it comes to the filibuster. If we had a Republican in the Oval Office, I feel like it's something that should be kept and supported because you never know when you're going to be in the minority and when you'll need it.
Yeah, first, let me say in that 10-second clip, I think I saw more energy from Joe Biden than the entirety of his campaign. So it's good that he was able to articulate that. But look, even in the recent press conference that he gave, he said that he was, supportive of the filibuster in a very general way. He went back and forth and flip-flop on it. But the filibuster is important. It separates the House and the Senate. It was purposeful by the founding fathers and what they were trying to achieve. So I think when you look at it, it is a situation where if the Democrats get rid of it, as Mitch McConnell said, it's scorched earth. And that's going to create a lot of more division, if that's even possible, within the Senate. And it's going to create just more chaos for the American people in terms of not being able to get any effective policies done. So I think, Chuck Schumer's looking at ways around it. I thought that was interesting. He's trying to get to the parliamentarian to see if there are other ways to kind of impact it without necessarily, destroying it. So that tells me, it signals that, Chuck Schumer's probably not 100% in favor of doing it either.
That's a good point. Andrew Giuliani, Donna, jump in. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we should remember that Barack Obama said he was for the filibuster, and they don't like to play that clip. So,
yeah, back when he was a senator.
Barack Obama.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point, Donna. We'll see what happens in the Senate, but hopefully the filibuster remains. It's so important. Checks and balances, that's what our country was founded upon. The World Health Organization, the Wuhan Health Organization, it just seems so corrupt. I don't know if you watched 60 Minutes. Andrew, we'll start with you on this. I know you've been sort of following this, but 60 Minutes, yeah. Leslie Stahl, and everyone, by the way, was applauding 60 Minutes yesterday and late Sunday for their amazing expose on the corruption of the World Health Organization. I'm like, have you guys been watching Wake Up America for the last 4 months? I have been banging this gong all along. They are now saying that, nope, the coronavirus came from a bat, and then it went to an animal, and that animal was purchased at a wet market in Wuhan. It did not come from a lab. So you know what that means?
Jeez.
It came from a lab.
I mean, I guess CBS really is a breaking news organization, aren't they? Thanks a year later. I mean,
yeah.
What the hell?
Right.
I mean, where were these guys before? Honestly, this is absolutely absurd. I actually would love to hear more from Dr. Redfield, considering he was the CDC director, believed it actually came from a lab. And obviously, look, anybody who does not want to call out China for what they are right now, look, whether or not it came from a lab, whether it did not, ultimately, when they knew what they had, they cut off domestic travel, they continued and incentivized international travel. And anybody who doesn't want to call out China for what they are is just has something to hide, to be perfectly honest.
And not a single question last week.
A year ago.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where they were a year ago, Andrew.
Yeah.
They were suggesting that people like myself, they even, had a clip of me from a briefing last year were crazy and spreading disinformation for asking about the origins of the coronavirus.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And Emerald, remember all the questions last Thursday at that 62-minute Biden press conference about coronavirus?
Oh, yeah, all about
Not a single, I don't understand it. How do you don't ask a single question about coronavirus? But this is a misinformation campaign. The World Health Organization, it's just, in CNN, everyone's like, boy, that is real reporting, real journalism. And I'm like, 13 months after the fact, watch Newsmax. Donna, I wanted to bring you up to get your comment on this vaccine passport situation. So you don't need a passport to come across our southern border. You don't need an ID to vote in Georgia. But we will all be required now, if Democrats get their way, to have something called a vaccine passport. Ron DeSantis got in front of this. Once again, this guy keeps doing the right thing. He banned them in the state of Florida.
I don't think that we should have a passport to limit people from being able to travel. But, you know, it's racist for you to ask for an ID card to vote, even though you have to have an ID card to get a bank account, you have to have an ID card to travel, you have to have an ID card to rent a car. But it's racist to ask for an ID card to vote, but they're all in for stopping people from being able to travel with this passport. I think it's crazy. We should not penalize people and put this kind of stipulation, but they need to find what side they really believe in.
Yeah, this is the quote from Governor DeSantis. He said, "It's completely unacceptable for either the government or the private sector to impose upon you the requirement that you show proof of vaccine to be able to participate in normal society." Now, blue states are saying, no, we're going to require this to go to the movies, to do anything. Red states, Governor Ron DeSantis, the very first person to say, no way, that is un-American. Rick Gates, your thoughts?
Sounds like Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is not going to be far behind him. He suggested in a tweet yesterday as well that vaccines would remain voluntary in his state.
Right. Well, I might as well play you this. Rick, we'll get some reaction, but I want to play you Joe Biden on where we are right now with mask mandates nationwide, 13 months after first seeing the coronavirus in the U.S. Take a listen.
I'm reiterating my call for every governor, mayor, and local leader to maintain and reinstate the mask mandate. Please, this is not politics. Reinstate the mandate if you let it down. And business should require masks as well. The failure to take this virus seriously, precisely what got us into this mess in the first place, risks more cases and more deaths.
Deaths, I think he meant, not desks. Rick, this is, I looked at that and I had to double check the date because that sounds like something that should have been said a year ago, not right now.
Well, look, in regards to Governor DeSantis, I thought it wasn't just the words that he said, but the fact that he signed an executive order stating that we're not going to have a passport was very definitive. I think it put a lot more emphasis on how kind of ridiculous this idea is. And if you look at what the Biden administration is doing, they're not suggesting that they're going to run it. They say they may provide guidance and then let the private sector, kind of come up with the creation of it. So that's not, I wouldn't go call that leadership. It's very hesitant of their administration, and kind of the same thing on the mask scenario. I think, when you look at it, nobody's asking, Governor DeSantis, hey, you guys didn't wear masks in Florida. How is it that you were able to curb, all of these issues? How are you to keep your economy afloat? Yeah. And we're not doing a good comparative analysis of the states that have not employed the masks and are doing very well versus a state like California and New York who have gone overboard and are suffering for it.
Andrew, 10 seconds. We have 10 seconds remaining. Do you think the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, April 8th is the first round, do you think they will cave to this pressure from the woke mob to boycott the Masters or change locations?
Absolutely not. They shouldn't. Keep the game going, please. We want to see it. It's great for the local economy, which, by the way, helps all of those minorities who live in Augusta, Georgia. So it's so important that they continue to do that. And by the way, if you want to know what Joe Biden was saying a year ago, he was saying, do not close the border from China.
Yeah, xenophobic. I like your tie, by the way, Masters tie as well. All right, panel, great stuff. Donna Jackson, come back and see us. This was a lot of fun. Enjoyed having you on today. Emerald?
Enjoyed being here.
Yeah, you too. Emerald, Andrew, Rick, as always, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Rob.
All right.
Bye.